everyone to the 31st episode of the Empowerment Minutes podcast. This is Maurine Kwende, your podcast host, learning leader, researcher, speaker, leadership coach, and consultant. I'm also the CEO and founder of EMK Learning Solutions, LLC, where I always love to connect with you, to chat with you about my areas of expertise, my services, and any topic of interest actually, and how I can help. I'm passionate about adding value and always eager to help. So if you have any questions, you just want to chat about something, that's fine. Just reach out to me, all right? I'll be more than happy to chat with you. So I want to start the episode with gratitude. We just came out of the Thanksgiving week, and still in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I want to still express my gratitude to all our listeners. I mean, it's been a great year. I'm grateful to all of you, all our podcast guest hosts on the show, people who have been listening to the show, even other podcasts that have been guests as well on the show. I'm so grateful. I know it's been a lot of sacrifice for you to, schedule the time to be on the show to talk about interesting topics for our readers. So I'm so grateful to you. And I want to thank also to all our listeners joining from all over the world. I have people joining from the different continents. I'm so excited to see the numbers grow every week. So I would like to say thank you. Gracias. Merci beaucoup. Danke. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you all. Thank you. So this week's episode, it's about how to become a first-time author. And this would be in learning and development or in any other field, right? So you're interested in becoming an author, writing your own book, which is a great idea. So how do you go about it? In my academic work and research, I do a lot of reading and writing, and so I can keep up with publications and things like that. But just to be clear, this episode is not about academic writing. It's more about authoring your own book. And even though they're different, some of the skills are transferable, but I just wanted to make that clear. So you want to write a book. That's great. But we're going to talk about 7 tips, right, that you need to actually start writing your book all the way to the end. So you want to write a book, and that's great, but you have to ask yourself some questions. Why do you want to write a book? Right? You should have a strong reason for writing a book, because writing a book, I can tell you, from experience, it's not a walk in the park. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of reading, a lot of research. It takes a whole lot from you. And if you're someone who has a family, it takes also time from your family for you to really focus and get the writing done. So you want to be sure, really sure. Ask yourself that question. Why do you want to write a book? Right? And so knowing why you want to write a book is very important. Some people write a book because that's a passion and a gift, and they want to, explore to find fulfillment. And that's great. Some people have other reasons. Maybe they just want to share expertise in the topic or the area of interest. I have read so many great books, even in learning and development and some other fields, even in leadership, coaching, different books, right? So some people just want to share their expertise. And for others, they just want to build credibility, right? They've been in the field for so long, and that's the whole reason why they're writing the book. Some are authoring the book because they're speakers, right? They're professional speakers. So through writing, they'll find speaking engagements. And for some, they're wanting to generate revenue, right? They want to sell the book. They're not writing the book for free. So these are some of the reasons why, people might want to consider why you're writing the book. So knowing why will really help you make up your mind if it's worth it to even get started. So that's your first step. Why do you want to write a book? Know why you want to write a book, and find a strong reason to do so, because as I mentioned, it's not a walk in the park. Now, the next tip you want to think about is, what type of book do you want to write, and who is your audience, right? Because you want to know who is going to be reading the book, right? What kind of book is it? Is it a fiction? Is it non-fiction? Are you going to be writing the book for learning and development folks? Is it on leadership? Is it personal development? Is it science? Is it a kid's book? who are those who are going to be reading the book? You have to know that as well. The third tip is to test your writing, right? So are people interested in your writing? Test your readership. So you can pilot this, from within your network by even writing a weekly blog or a newsletter, or even through a podcast like this one. It has show notes, right? And see if you can get some feedback from your network. What did they think about your writing? Are there some areas that you need to improve on and work on to make sure that your writing it's at a level of interest where people would want to continue reading from you, right? So now I would say if you go past this point, it means you have really made up your mind that you want to get started. So which is great, and that brings us to the fourth tip. Come up with a book outline. You want to write a book, but you have to think about how many chapters are the book going to be? What are the chapters called, right? What are some of the catchphrases that you would use that can appeal to your audience, right? Then when you've made a decision to do that, then your next step, which is the fifth step, is writing. Like I mentioned, it takes a lot of discipline to write a book. So you now have to come up with a plan. How long do you want to write this book for? Some people say they can write a book for 90 days. Some people say within 6 months they can write a book. Some people say 9 months. So you have to have a plan. So then if it's going to take 9 months or 3 months, then how much time do you want to dedicate every day to write your book, right? You want to block time on your calendar where you can have time without any interruption to really produce quality work. And publishing a book or becoming a first-time author, it takes a lot of money, believe it or not. So you have to also plan financially, right? And this is where we're going to talk about the next step, which is editing, right? You need to find an editor. Even if you're a very good writer, you would still need someone else to read your work. And usually there are 3 different rounds of editing for a book. So you have to make a decision. What type of editor would you need? Would you need a copy editor? Would you need a developmental editor who can not only edit but contribute to your book? You want to think about those things. And if you want a good editor, editors are not cheap. How much are you willing to pay for someone to edit your book? And this is going to take, plan towards about 3 rounds of editing, right? That you would need to, for someone to go through your book, like you really comb through it, remove any typos, grammar, all those kind of things. Make sure it's really, really good before the books, are published, right? So that's something you want to think about, and you want to plan towards finding a good editor. Research, on what the types of editors you will need and see what it entails. What does a copy editor do? What does a developmental editor do? Just read up some more, and then so you can make an informed decision. So lastly, it's about publishing the book. Hooray! By the time you get to this point, you'll be so exhausted, I guarantee you, but it's going to be a worthwhile journey. So now you have already written your book, you've gone through the editing and all of that. Then you have to make a decision. Are you going to publish the book with a publisher, or are you going to do some self-publishing? Right? Do your research, right? The advantages and disadvantages of self-publishing or publishing with a publishing house. So do your research and then make a decision. If you're self-publishing, okay, that will be the next step. Or if you're working with a publisher, you definitely would have been working with them when you're editing the book, because the publisher would definitely, most often the ones I've seen, would provide you an editor who would be editing the book. So you want to know all of that ahead of time. Okay, so these are the 7 steps I want to share with you of becoming a first-time editor. I'm sharing this information from my experience because, drum roll, I'm writing my own book, and I'm going to be sharing more information very soon, and I just can't wait to share with you. This is something I've been working on for months and months. It's taking a lot of time, but I'm happy that it's almost it's going to be here soon. So I just want to thank you all for listening to this podcast. So let me know, are you what are your plans? Do you want to just chat about your book? Do you want us to share some ideas, experience about me publishing my book, or what would you like to know? How can I help you beyond the steps I've shared? I'm more than happy to chat with you as well. So, all right, that's it for this week's podcast. I look forward to reading your book soon. Congratulations on making that decision. That's the very first step. So that's it for this week's podcast. To our listeners out there, I want to thank you again for tuning in. I would look forward to seeing you on the next one. Au revoir. Adios. Bye bye.